Welcome back, guys. We got another clock we got from Goodwill, and it's got a few problems, I think. Let me show you. I noticed the wires are missing to the bellows, and that doesn't make any difference to me because I have new wires here. You can order the wires from a clock parts place. I got two places I normally order all my stuff from because they're reasonable compared to some places. It's nice that this clock, these bellows are not glued in. Sometimes, I don't know, if some of the factories or the people who do it themselves, they glue the bellows in and you have a heck of a time getting them off without damaging it. All you have is a screw on the side. When you go to put it back together again, make sure you hit the screw. It's the same hole because you don't want any more holes in the whistle box than what's already in there, because you want all the air to come out of the whistle itself. So the next step is, let's see, I already undone the chain, but I'm going to leave the chain on because I want to test this clock out a little bit to see if it'll even try to cuckoo or move the rods that makes the cuckoo work. I also want to see if the pendulum will move. See how froze up this clock is. So let me go ahead and take those 4 screws out and I'll be back. Screws out. Let's move this pendulum wire in. Let's take this thing out. There we go. Now another thing I'm going to mention is this, where the work's hooked on, they didn't have the little blocks in there because this face here is thick enough it can handle the screws that I'm poking all the way through. And then you notice the bird, it's a lot thicker than most other birds, so that's what they consider maybe a better 3D look for the birds. So I'll be pulling on the cuckooing weight. Yeah, it seems to be smooth. I don't know if you can see that going around or not. Now I do have a wire coming through here. We'll call it a spring wire that is pushing down on this. Some don't have it. It's nice. I think it's nice because if the clock won't normally stick if you have a decent wire in there as a spring to bring it back down. So this side is the ticking side. It does tick if you get going again, which is nice. So there's a chance this clock might have ran, but as dirty as it is, I don't know how long it would have ran. Let me go ahead and pull this chain out. And now I'll go ahead and take the bird off, and then we'll take this thing apart. Let me see if I can get you to see this a little bit better. Get a pointer here. Right there is where it says Regula, made in Germany, 20, and then there's a GM with the number on it. That's the only markings I can see through all this oil and dirt, and I've never seen it on the front side. Now I don't know if you can see or not, but this has got either dog hair or cat hair in here, just your normal dust that flies around. It could have kitchen oils on here because maybe it was too close to the kitchen. You don't want your Cuckoo Clock works to be anywhere near the kitchen, because even if you have a fan, that there fan doesn't suck up all the smokes and oils, and with an open Cuckoo Clock, that's exactly where it'll go, is inside your clock. So let me get this thing apart and get it ready for the cleaner. I almost forgot to mention, when you're getting ready to, if you take one of these apart, then you should go ahead with your phone or a camera, get a picture of the front, the back, the two sides, and make sure you have plenty of light so you can see in here and give you an idea of what that gear looked like and where it possibly should have gone or should be going. And another thing that's important too, notice where the cuckoo bird would be coming out. Now I haven't seen this tight, but you want to get a picture of that exactly so you know how it goes in there. In which this one here, of course, there's a leg here that holds the frames together. It has to do with inside there, and then of course the cuckoo bird slips back and is able to hit that. Now this wire here, or not wire, but lever we'll call it, I haven't seen one of these, well, I haven't even seen a works like this, but this here I thought was giving me some dates too. So possibly in the comments I'll have someone give me an idea, maybe with the numbers I give them, to give me a date of this clock here. Right here's a spring that brings the cuckoo in and out, and actually the spring is wrapped around the rod here, wrapped around the shaft, and they wrapped it around there. Let me see if I can help show you that a little bit. Which there again, I haven't seen anything like that before. Okay, checking this out after I got it out, which this is all the farther I'm going to take it apart. I don't plan taking the cam off. I'm not going to take this apart. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I've went so far, I'm happy with this, where I'm at. I also can't get these screws out, and I'm not going to force them either. I don't like the idea of my spring to the bird going through the cleaner and the sonic part. But if I have to, I'll either replace it, or I might have to take this off and then give it another wrap or so to tighten it up to get a decent spring that I got right now. But on here, I could tell there's a little bit of grease that was put on some of these areas and is possibly sprayed with oil, because some of these you can tell that they're kind of grody looking or whatever. But we'll get all these put in the cleaner, and see what. We'll get these all in the cleaner and see what happens to them. They should be better than what they are right now. Okay, I'm in the process of taking this case apart. These here obviously aren't working too well, so I plan on taking them out. I'll take it off the crown also, and I'm going to probably see if I got some screws that I can screw this in place instead of the nails. I was looking inside the case, almost hoping I could find these nails that are pushing through. I don't see them, so I'm going to have to carefully start prying right where the nail is. There's one on each side here, then the upper side of the case there'll be one there and one there, which this one's already starting to come out, so that's going to be a no-brainer to try to pull that one out while I can. See, it's already popped off. So let me start with the smaller screwdriver and start prying in here and then work my way up. I see this one's already starting to crack open. Luckily, they're real loose. Try not to stress it out too much so it's gonna possibly break the crown even more. So there's one of the nails. This already came off, so I can take it out a little bit easier. Now I have to be careful with this nail over here. It comes right out now. So I'll go ahead and push that nail through, and then I'm going to re-glue this. And I'll probably use a rubber band to hold it together. And with this off, I don't know if you can see it, but there's hair from possibly a dog or whatever, and dirt. And seeing the dirt, I almost want to say this thing's been sitting in a box. Let's just say right next to the pet bed. So that'll all get swept off with the brush. Just going to pull this nail out too. Push it through. Save your nails. Don't worry if they don't go in real strong, because technically speaking all they are is pins, especially the two top ones. The ones that go in the case, if you wanted to, if you really need to, you could maybe break a toothpick off inside each one of the nails, and after it dries in so far it'll catch that toothpick and make it tighter to make sure the front of this clock will stay on instead of trying to slide off. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pop these numbers off that were poorly glued on. I mean, the people tried. That's the main thing, is trying to fix your clock. But some people don't have know who to contact to get a little bit of help. These are really on there. I don't know if that's contact cement that they stuck on there or what that is. Might be, because like I said, it's all over the hands here, darkened in color. Now on these, yes, it says Germany, but if you want to get some flat black paint and repaint this before you put the new numbers on, if it's that bad, go for it. You might want to leave it the way it is. I wouldn't have a heart attack one way or another, but just remember, if you're going to keep the clock for yourself, you do what's going to make you happy for the clock, for having this clock. Okay, got all the numbers off. They're kind of wasted. I happen to have some new numbers I've ordered, and I got them in stock for myself, and they're the same size. And when you go to cut these, it helps if you know what the numbers, which place they are, and be careful on when you're cutting these that you're not going around just cutting willy-nilly, because these are set up to have the right, exactly the right amount that you have here to do this clock. And also, if you do mess up and you separated an X from a 1 or a 2 or whatever, you can cut them and get them to set in there and make them tight, and they'll still look good. I almost forgot this. I need to glue that. And I happen to have this big rubber band. You can buy them, or sometimes they come with produce, but you don't want to get too much pressure. What I plan on doing is gluing this. Then I'm going to go from here to here with this rubber band to hold it together, because I don't need a great big clamp, because this is fragile wood. I just want to get them together and try to make them look nice. By the looks of it, this might not go together perfectly because it is a little bit warped, but we're going to go ahead and glue it and get this thing going before it's too late. Let's say, well, I'm messing with this clock, I might as well do that part first. And what I plan on doing, just like the numbers, I'm going to use regular wood glue. And I use a toothpick on the numbers, so that way I have very little glue on them. I normally pour it on a card so I can dip my toothpick into the glue, and on the back side I'll just dab it on the bigger parts and maybe a couple in the middle, depends on which number I have, and that's plenty of glue to go ahead and stick it into place. And of course this is the old one, so it's warped, but the other ones are nice and level and they'll go on real easy. I'm also going to use this toothpick to get the glue down in there a little bit better. Darn dog hair, could be cat hair, it's real fine. So I'll go ahead and glue this side, I think, then work the glue down in there. But I don't necessarily want that glue to get up on the front side, because then it's a definite telltale that something happened. And I can clean it up with the tissue afterwards so it doesn't stand out as bad. Let me get the rubber band on here, and then I can do a little bit of adjustments on it. I think I need a little bit more. So I think I'm going to stretch just to the one side.
for a second, maybe you need to close your eyes for this one. That Jesus is speaking right to you. Sharing his heart with you. That's what I heard.
I'm putting more tension on the rubber band in the back than the front, so I can pull this up so it'll be level. The way I did that is I pulled this rubber band back here, so it's wanting to pull more here. Take off the excess, and there's going to be more pushed out. I think I might end up having to add a little more, get another rubber band so I can get a little more stretch to it. I don't know that I want to stretch this one much further. Let me feel it. Oh, I think I can. Here. Okay, got them all cut out. And I messed up on the numbers. It's this one here. I got to do a little bit of trimming on the one, but the 4 is 4 single lines. And I wasn't paying attention like I told you guys to. And so once you get it trimmed right, the spacers, then it's going to look just fine. No one's taking a magnifying to your clock to see whether it looks right or not. And also, looking at this, I see this X here, just below it. You can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but just below it, you can see the no paint. So, I'm going to contemplate on whether I want to worry about it and paint it. It might not be noticeable to some people. It depends on whether you have OCD or not, which I kind of do sometimes. So maybe I'll paint it, maybe I won't. You have to stay tuned and see what I decide to do. Okay, it's still drying, but I did paint it. As if you didn't know I wouldn't. Anyway, I have, you can see this or not, flat black, and normally you can get this, the flat colors, I mean, if they even still sell these paints, which it didn't come out of this kit, this is another kit I got. I find them at Goodwill every once in a while. This is a brand new set, but you can get them, the flat colors, for let's say the army models that you can make and whatnot. That's what the flat colors came in. All these that I bought, some were single, some were in packages like this for, well, I don't even know what they'd sell them for, but got them at Goodwill. This one don't have the price on it. And like I say, I don't even know if they still sell the paints or if they think it's just too dangerous for the children. I have no idea. But anyway, I'll let that dry, and I'd normally blow dry it. I got my numbers all set up here, and not that it's any big deal, but I'm not in a hurry either. But as soon as this dries off, then I'll go ahead and glue my numbers together on here. On those 4 that split, once you get glue on there, it's easy to set, and the glue kind of makes it stick anyway. So like I say, don't worry about if you cut them wrong and you came out with the wrong numbers or whatever. You cut them the proper way, whichever way that is, you'll have them all cut out the right way. I do believe, I can't remember, I do believe that you go this way when you're cutting your numbers out, and then everything seems to work out. Because as you're cutting some of these, you might end up with a 1, or you might end up with a 2 or whatever. And so that's what I do, is I just start cutting out the numbers this way and work your way to where all these 1s are. And I think you'd be okay. I'm Pat. Oh, and by the way, when I painted this, I made sure not to paint over where it says Germany on there. And Beans has flat black, and they already had flat black on here. At the moment, unless you look real close, you can't tell that I skipped the paint around it. But it's nice to be able to keep the name Germany on there. So after this dries, I'll come back and we'll start gluing these things on. I'll show you how I glue onto each number. I'm not going to do every one of them for you, but I'm going to glue each number. And if I do, maybe I'll put it in a fast speed or whatever to get those things on there. Myself a little bit of glue here. I put on the end of the toothpick. I don't need too much. And I just dab it on just a little bit, mainly in the wider places. But I want to definitely get all the sides, ends, whatever. Okay, I got them on. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of wax on here before I put the face back on, the decorative face, and it's not dry yet, so I can put this on now. The movement isn't done yet, so why not go ahead and start doing this kind of stuff. So I just wax this. You can say that bird is so 3D. So I'm going to say this is one of the more expensive clocks by looking online, going to the actual place where they sell these clocks brand new. They talk about the heavier cuts in the leaves, and the bird, like I say, he is so thick. Very nice. Gave some wax to the pendulum. In the case. It's got the shine back to it. Or I shouldn't really call it a shine. It doesn't look dead. Now this wax will soak in because it is also a conditioner. Even if it has a finish, somehow or another it seems to soak in and they start looking good again, start looking brand new again. Is start working on these bellows, getting the new paper on there, and I'll show real quick, but hopefully I already have a video out, or look at some of my other recent videos and they might even show again putting these bellow papers on the easy way using super glue. Okay, my tie-back paper comes like this. I take it and I cut it in half, but I also cut the end off of it, so I have extra bellow paper. And what you do is you want to measure around this way. And it's not touching, which is no big deal. The reason why is what you're going to do is end up putting a flap or a hinge on like this. Of course, this one's not cut, it's just showing you. And like I've said, I use super glue. What you want to do, super glue. And this one, I guess I got different ones. This one, seems to me it was for wood and everything else like that. But anyway, you want to make sure to get the right top on the right bellow, only because you already have the hole for where the nail goes. And this paper seems to be just right for making a hinge. By the way, they had whoever had these clocks was trying, but they didn't know any better. But anyway, they were using Scotch tape across here, and I'm not too worried about ripping this paper. So it looks like Cuckoo Clock. Once it's in the clock and it's hanging on the wall, you won't ever see it. If you want, put gift wrapped over it. But they glued the weight in there, so I'm not too worried about that. As clean as I'm going to get them. I got to dry them off, and then I'm going to go to bed because it's late, and we'll put this together tomorrow. Okay, so I'm excited. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this together now. Off camera, of course, because it's easier for me. This has got the shaft here, so I'm just going to use the bowl like I normally do. I do have the frame holders on order. Who knows when they'll get here, but for now this here will work just fine. I'm hoping, like it has before. So off camera I'm gonna be looking at my phone, putting this back together the way I think I saw it on the pictures. So I'll be back in a bit. So I got it all back together again. And these, I have to figure out what tool it is. I have to ask Mark. Maybe he knows. I've kind of heard them talking about it, but I didn't understand just what they were talking about. But now that I've been running into them, I can either make the tool like they're talking about or See if I can buy one somewhere. Okay, I got the Clockworks in. I got the Cuckoo Bird hooked up. I went ahead and installed the chain. And I didn't show it on camera because it is kind of late at night. And I just wanted to get it done. If you are dying to find out how to install the chains while it was in the clock, go ahead and look at some of my other videos because I show it in there. Anyway, this here, it's been 6 hours at least. This does rock, so it's probably warped. Let's see. So I can get a little bit tighter up there. So let me go ahead and get those tacked in. Then I'll come back, we'll get the ones in on the roof. Okay, I got the clips that holds the crown on. And these originally were nailed in. I'm not going to nail them in. I'm hoping these screws, which I had to drill these just a little bit bigger. I'm hoping these screws are fat enough that they're going to go in and hold a lot better than what those nails are doing.